Hello beautiful people of Age of Empires Mobile. Timmy is here with a very important episode in which I'm also gonna explain what to expect from this channel when it comes down to the heroes coming with a new season videos, which I'm gonna do so I test them and show you guys the numbers. On top of this, I think the highest value which this episode has right now is the fact that these new heroes at this moment you cannot unlock them. Therefore, even if you want to make a mistake, it's impossible to do one. Therefore, do yourself a favor, watch this episode till the end in order to understand a lot of very important things, which severely influences your account performance, or in other words, each step you take, it should be the best one possible. And of course, I've done a previous episode on these new heroes coming with a new season, and yes, Timur is priority number one for every single player out there. Doesn't matter if you are a free-to-play player, doesn't matter if you're super high whale, this is priority number one, except this account is your second account and you're using as a farm. Now, a lot of people already started to ask me on Discord, what do you think about this combination? And since Timur is also the hero I was waiting for and number one priority for me also, I will definitely be able to show you the performance of this match in numbers, because yes, this match works, but would I recommend you to use this match? Would I use a match combination like this? And the answer is, no matter if you're free to play or super whale, 1,000,000% no. Don't use it like this. Now let me explain you why. Now you remember before the developers have implemented Mehmet in game, we were running a setup like this. Now, I'm also addressing the free-to-play players in my episodes, therefore I'm gonna get to this in just a moment, because I'm also gonna explain you how to prioritize and build your marches in the best way possible. So we had this setup, which is extremely hard-hitting setup. Obviously, a fantastic performance in PvE, that's player versus environment, the Trojan horses and so on. But when it comes down to the PvP part of this game, you won't get the results which you are expecting, for a simple reason, that's how the game works. Shocking announcement, your opponent is allowed to hit back. Because while this setup has a very high damage output, the major weakness of this setup is the lack of defense capabilities. Therefore, every time your opponent is gonna hit, you're gonna lose more and more units in your match, and even with such a high damage output setup, due to the fact that you have less units, you're gonna do less damage. Therefore, this is the way to go for the warrior archers. No way around Mehmet. And I'm gonna get to the commander in just a second. And that's the reason I will not use or recommend to use Timur and Mehmet in the same match, except these are literally the only two heroes you have right now. Because that's also the weakness of the Cavalry March, the lack of defense tools. So that's Timur, and I hope you understand it is priority number one for every single player out there. Now, we still have a couple of more heroes coming with the new season. If I were to pick another one, depending on what other heroes you have, is definitely gonna be Largetta. And I'm gonna explain you in just a moment, because now I'm gonna explain you how to build your marches in Age of Empires Mobile. What's the best step-by-step decision which you should take in order to get the maximum performance out of it? Because yeah, honestly, beautiful people, yeah, I know Cyrus, yeah, I know Belisarius, yes, I know Elizabeth. We're gonna get at least to Cyrus in just a second. But when it comes down to Belisarius and Elizabeth, I'm pretty sure that a lot of players out there can compare their accounts with mine. And trust me when I tell you, I will not gonna use Belisarius in this configuration, but rather on the Cavalry on a setup like this. But this is a topic for a different episode, and it only affects very high spenders all the way up to super high spenders. So don't worry about the rest. And let's start with the march which has the highest priority in Age of Empires Mobile right now. And how do you start building these marches? That's 100% the Cavalry March, and you gonna definitely need Lubu. Now, you're also gonna need two more heroes. So for example, you can use Guan Yu in here, or you can use Rani, but pay attention, do not invest any type of resources in these two heroes, Rani and Guan Yu, because you will have no use for them in the future. And that's the way how I'm recommending hero combinations in my videos. The combinations which you see me recommended are there in order to give you the best performance for a long period of time, and not just till the next heroes in the next season are coming out. But you're gonna understand that far better once we are talking about the archer setup. So you're definitely gonna start with a cavalry, and at this moment you have to take in consideration what's your maximum level of stars you can bring a hero to. Because for a lot of players out there, the maximum amount of stars, realistically speaking, is just 3 stars, because the road from 3 stars to 5 stars is far longer than from 1 star to 3 stars. So what you're gonna do, you're always gonna prioritize your commander. So prioritize Lubu to 3 stars, and you're gonna need 2 more heroes. And even if they are at 1 star, don't worry about it, because once you have done this, you want to start with your second march, which is definitely going to be the archers. Now, obviously, in my videos, I also give advice to the free-to-play players. Therefore, I'm also going to address Mulan, because free-to-play players cannot access her without spending. And it's going to be the same thing, because even if we take Mulan out, keep an eye on Bellevue. As a commander, yes. Is it worth it to bring her to your maximum limit of 3 stars? Yes, it's absolutely worth it, because even if you're going to get in the future a far better alternative as commander, you're still going to benefit a lot by Bellevue and her 3 stars using her in here as a third hero. So when it comes down to the archers, Bellevue, Mehmet definitely super needed and a very solid investment from the resources perspective. And as third hero, whatever you have there, you can use again. You can use Rani in here, that works absolutely fantastic. And therefore use Guan Yu if you want on the cavalry. So that's priority number 1 and priority number 2, because at this moment, the free-to-play players have actually 2 options. To go back and work on the other 2 heroes, which are at 1 star. Bring them to 3 stars, and then do the same for the archers. But another option, which is also super awesome, is actually to start to work on your swordsman. Now, I said Largetta is super awesome, but if you already have a setup like this with Ramses, Charlemagne, and Theodora, you won't need Largetta at 3 stars if that is your highest limit. But I strongly advise you to unlock Largetta and the other heroes with a few Empire coins using the wheel. But if you do not have that, you're going to have something like this. And again, take in consideration the free-to-play players, which cannot access Miyamoto because they have to pay for it. Sure, you can invest in Yodit. She is a solid commander, and you can bring her to 3 stars. And even if in the future we get far stronger alternatives, you can always move Yodit, use it on the 3rd slot. Therefore, this is a smart investment. Also, a solid hero in here is no question Tibiwana. So you can work towards something like this. Yodit 3 stars, Tibiwana, keep it at 1 star, and as a 3rd hero, you can use whatever hero you have. Though take in consideration 0 investment in heroes like this, because they don't offer you the performance worth your resources. But Largetta will. That is the priority number 3, which is the swordsman. Now, of course, let's jump into the topic of the pikemans. Because I'm going to try my best and unlock Cyrus and bring him to 5 stars, not just only to compare a setup like this, Cyrus, Boudica, and Mansa Musa, versus what I'm using right now, which is literally this setup. I will actually gonna go one step further, because people are super hyped about Cyrus for a simple reason. Well, to beat Lubu. But is that the best investment? Especially if you have to make a new march. And here is my thought on this. Now, if you imagine for a second, of course, Timur in here, you have Lubu, Timur, and Attila. Now, the developers had 2 options when it comes down to Lubu's crazy performance, which is either to nerf him, and they already chose this path with Cyrus, or actually to say, leave him like this because we're gonna bring a hero which will definitely gonna counter him properly. And my personal and honest opinion right now, also taking into consideration Cyrus, I don't think he's gonna bring that much difference. If your opponent is Lubu, then you can attack him with this setup, which is also at the same time priority number 1 for your account. So you're gonna have a super solid performance versus opponents using Lubu. Obviously, you're gonna have the best performance possible versus archers, and also you're gonna have a super awesome performance versus swordsmen because nobody has an advantage. So you already can counter very successfully 3 type of units. And I will go as far in saying, yeah, you can expect a very solid performance even versus Cyrus with this Lubu setup. But again, beautiful people, I'm gonna try my best to unlock all the heroes and to test them and show you the videos in order for us to discuss together which of these heroes are truly worth investing in order to be as efficient as possible. In other words, use as less resources as possible while getting the maximum performance for your account and having setups which don't require changes every time a new season is coming. So beautiful people, that's it for this episode. I'm super excited to get my hands on the new heroes tomorrow in the wheel, and whichever 2 heroes we're gonna be, you're definitely gonna see a video on this channel in which we're gonna see some battle reports. We wanna see the differences between the old setups and the new possible setups with the introduction of these new season heroes. And take a very important thing in consideration. My opinion is never set in stone. What I'm doing with this channel, I am getting these heroes at 3 stars, at 5 stars, doing the battle tests, uploading the video, opening a discussion on this topic based on these numbers. So it's always super worth it to support this channel, and the way to do that doesn't require you to spend any money. Just subscribe to this channel, obviously watch my videos till the end, share this channel with your friends. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna catch you in the next one.